Hello, friends. Step into the shadowy realm where the veil between the living and the dead grows thin, and the line between reality and nightmare becomes blurred. Join us as we plunge headfirst into the icy depths of true, bone-chilling tales that will be sure to haunt your dreams. Ordinary people recount their encounters with the supernatural, from encounters with malevolent spirits to inexplicable phenomena that defy all rational explanation. Be warned, these are not your typical bedtime stories. Oh no. What you're about to hear are the eerie whispers emanating from closet doors left opened and dark corners of the room that the light never seems to touch. A beckoning from the dark recesses of bedrooms and hallways, just like yours. These first-hand accounts may leave you questioning your own grasp on reality and what lies beyond in a plane of existence that's perhaps a little too close for comfort. Sleep with the lights on, for you never know what might be lurking in the shadows. We'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Sleep with the Lights On, our first YouTube exclusive show.
Our first.
Even though the first episode dropped on the podcast itself. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to go and not only follow the podcast, but check out that episode. It was a fun one. And we let people know in that episode that we're coming out with a YouTube series called Sleep with the Lights On. And essentially it's just us sharing scary stories. We're pretty excited about it. And so we hope you guys enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed putting it on for you. And with that, we're going to get into our first story. This first story comes to us from Jay Henriksen.
I know that guy.
No, you don't. And it's called The Old Lady of the Graveyard. So buckle your seatbelts. This is a doozy.
Make sure your coffin has a nice pillow.
Excuse me?
We're in a graveyard. The coffin should have a nice comfy pillow.
Okay. That makes sense, I guess.
If you're dead.
If you're dead. I went to a graveyard at about midnight with a group of friends to visit an old friend who died in a car accident. While we were standing around his grave telling good stories about him, I hear a faint voice of an elderly woman. One of my friends says out loud, "Oh, what the F?" I stand up and look toward the source. I see a very old woman, literally dressed in a white tattered nightgown about 100 feet away. She started talking to us. "Sir, get over here now, I need help." We stood still. That was the best old lady voice you're ever going to hear.
That was pretty impressive.
I know, right? I don't know if I can keep it going. We stood still. No one said a thing. The part that weirded me out was that she used the singular word sir when clearly there was 5 of us. She started walking closer and started speaking again, but even louder. "Boys! Oh, boys! I need your help now!"
Does she have a milkshake?
Yeah, it brought all the boys to the yard, surprisingly, but they're like, hey, it's better than ours, right? Damn right. Oops. Note the plurality. Then she literally started running toward us, screaming nonsense. We were all scared out of our minds, so we ran back to the car with this old woman close behind. We reached the car, which was a 2-door, and everyone got in before me, including the driver. So the driver's seat was blocking my entrance to the back seat. I yelled as I approached the car, and he got out and let me in. Doors slammed, and we flew down the small graveyard roads to the opposite side where the exit was. This is where things got weird. Yeah, this is where things got weird.
Yeah.
Old lady in the nightgown, totally normal. We get to the other side of the graveyard in like 10 seconds. We're speeding toward the exit, and we approach a curved road that was well lit, and the old lady ran onto the road. No way she ran over there that fast. I see her trying to chase us down, and finally she lets out the most terrifying scream I've ever heard. It sounded like she was being murdered slowly and painfully. We fled the scene just seconds after and never returned. 4 other friends of mine can testify as witnesses to that night. By far the most terrifying experience in my life.
Testify.
I need my 4 friends to get over here and testify my experience for me. That is a terrifying story. And I'll tell you why. Old lady, graveyard, seemingly impossible speed. So what do you think this was, Christian? Was it a ghost? Was it a ghost of an old lady in the graveyard that they encountered? And what would have happened if they had heeded her beckoning call?
What if she really needed help and she's a ghost in a graveyard, and if they would have helped her, she might not have burned for eternity in the depths of hell. I mean
that's one take, sure.
What
this hits a little home for me because I actually had a story from my youth where I left an old lady at a Walgreens once. And
that's not right.
Man. I know it's not right. Look, everyone that's listening, let me tell you, I know it's not right. The events that happened the prior night had my mind all kinds of messed up.
The old lady?
No. Okay, here's the Cliff's Notes, and at some point I will share this story with everyone. This is what happened.
Is this going to be NC-17? What are you doing with this old lady?
The previous night would have been. This part is not. What the fuck is so I'm leaving this house. And I'm driving
the old lady's house?
No.
I'm thinking a different.
I know you are, and I'm trying to steer you clear of that. I'm leaving a house in Tehachapi, and I'm driving down this road, and I have no idea where I'm at, just that GPS is guiding me out. And as I'm driving down this road, an old lady flags me down. And I'm like, okay, weird. I pull over. I'm like, maybe she needs help, right? And I roll down the window, and I'm like, hey, is something wrong? She gets in my car. She just gets in my car. That's it. She just hops right in like, hey, where are we going? No. And she's like, I'm staying with my son-in-law and I don't know where I'm at. And I really need to get milk and he's at work. And I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay. And so I'd go to Walgreens in Tehachapi and I'm sitting there. She's like, I'll be just a moment. And guys, this is really messed up. Okay. She goes inside. I had a hockey game that I had to get to. I was like, well, she's at least around other people now. And I just drove off. I was like 18 or 19. I'm not proud. I was 21, maybe. I was like 19. I'm not proud of it, but it happened. And this isn't the time for this story. The full story, at some point, you'll get it. But for now, just know that I have this weird guilt with old ladies needing help. And
shame on you.
Shame on me, indeed. So you like that story? That was a good story,
That
right?
was.
That's a very interesting... And that's part of the reason I'm kind of nervous to go to graveyards at night.
Remind me when I get really old to move near a graveyard, and then I can just walk out there in the middle of the night and mess with kids.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, really.
Just stand there drinking like some kind of coffee or chocolate milk. Who knows? Chocolate milk would actually be probably more terrifying than coffee.
Put some powder all over me so I look a little paler.
Or maybe it could just be the wintertime.
That's true.
And then you'll look sickly.
And then when the kids come out into the graveyard at midnight.
As they do.
As they shouldn't do.
Okay.
But
you really are old. That's fine.
Kids will be, I mean, this is me saying it, and I've been in a graveyard in the middle of the night and had weird stuff happen. So another episode.
I guess that's another episode. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get into this other story.
Very dramatic opening of the book.
And one thing I've noticed when I'm putting these particular episodes together for Sleep with the Lights On is that I've actually got a lot of correlations between stories. The next episode has a couple of doppelganger-esque type stories, but this one has a couple of weird, like almost teleportation. There's no other explanation for it in my book, but of entities or beings or people even. And so this next story is called The Man in the Road. And it's from Mega Marines. Hooah. This is about 4.5 years ago. I was 19 at the time. I'm driving back from the gym one night at around 1 a.m., decently foggy. I pass by a crosswalk for our local trail called Iron Horse Trail that has sensors that light up if someone is going to cross. They go off right as I pass it. I look back in my rear view and there's a person standing right there in the middle of the crosswalk. He's not even 10 feet behind the car, and it would have been impossible for him to be there with my having just driven through. I freaking punch it. So he's scared. He doesn't punch the person, he punches the gas pedal. If I need to clarify that, you're welcome.
He punched it. That doesn't really mean person.
Yeah, he punched a clown down in the sewers.
Who hasn't?
That's true. Who amongst us? I get to a stop sign about 100 yards away. I take a deep breath and look behind again. The same person is now under a sidewalk stoplight, not even 15 feet behind me. I floor it again. I'm freaked out. I drive. I just drive. I run a stop sign and keep going. I'm way past the turn from my house and I'm at least 5 turns off. I just stop at the next stop sign to backtrack and turn right. I lose my breath because mid-turn I see him in the middle of an unlit street with his back turned to me. I just feel thousands of shivers go down my spine and hold the gas down. I blow right past him, or whatever I thought was him. I keep going down this long stretch and I look back. He's just standing there. I stop. I watch this outline just stand there and suddenly I blink and he's gone. I don't even have a second and I feel something land on my roof with a metallic clang while the car violently shakes. I gas it. I see a person roll off of my roof and off my bumper. I just drive and drive for half an hour and hurry home when I calm down. I finally fall asleep in my bed. I was still living with my parents, and wake up the next morning to my mom saying, "Matt, were you racing around last night? I heard your car a few blocks away. Why does the roof look like something fell on it?" I'm groggy, but get up thinking it was a really bad dream. I go into the garage with her and look at the roof. It's got marks on it like something landed on it, light dings and small dents like hail. I look at my rear window and see a very clear handprint on it and a boot scuff on my rear bumper with finger marks trailing by the bottom of it on the accumulated dust. I lost any and all words that I had. I didn't tell a soul. I still get shivers thinking about it and couldn't drive that way for a week.
Just a week?
Just a week. That's all it takes. If you're spooked out, you're like, 1 week has passed, it's fine. I'm sure the guy's gone. Greener pastures and whatnot. But what do you think?
Sounds like that old story that everybody told around that same age.
The Hook? The
Yes.
Hook Man? Yeah. I was picturing that episode of Supernatural where like the people are making out in the car or whatever.
That was in Supernatural also?
Oh yeah, they did all the urban legends, man. But yeah, I that is interesting you say that. That is kind of similar. But this story was really weird because, I mean, it's terrifying. Number one, you're driving and you see the same person. I can't even imagine. I'd probably just shit myself on the spot. But I'm more of a pansy. So that makes sense. That checks out for your boy, you know? The idea of seeing not just like once or twice, but seeing the same thing 3, 4, 5 times. And the final time you stop and you're like, okay, what's going on here? And then you blink and he's missing from the rear view mirror. And then you feel something crash down on the car. That's like super soldier type, you know?
Didn't he say it sounded metallic too?
Yeah. Maybe it's like a robot. Elon Musk is up to some shenanigans.
It's like the Terminator from the Terminator 2, T2.
One of your favorite movies.
Yes. One of everybody's favorite movies.
Let's not get carried away.
In that genre. It's a good one. But either way, maybe, I don't know. That's just what it reminds me of.
It's pretty wild.
That's almost too wild, but it's a fun story.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a cyborg, right?
I hope not.
You hear stories of like kind of escaped experiments and stuff like that, like super soldiers or something like that. Maybe that would explain the speed, but I would lean more towards it being a weird haunting or something than being a physical person that ran as fast as a car. You know what I mean?
That's really weird because a haunting doesn't normally, I mean, it just, especially driving away.
You mean like leave marks, like physical stuff?
And then keep appearing. I mean, a haunting tends to be very specific to
isolated.
an area.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's on a stretch of road, you know,
once you pass it, you're done.
It seems like it, but
yeah, it's just weird. I mean, like you kind of mentioned that you don't really get physical stuff from a lot of these, but I think you kind of do to an extent. Like there's been a lot of people that go into like, you know, these ghost tours or haunted houses and they have like scratch marks on them when they leave or, you know, crazy stuff like that. And is there physical explanations for that stuff? Possibly.
Yeah, they got the scratch before they went in, but didn't notice it.
Sure. That's your explanation for it. All right.
That is my explanation.
But sometimes entities do have like a physical presence to it. Now, is it demonic? Is it ghostly? I have no idea. And I don't even know if it's a paranormal in nature story. Maybe it is a superhuman. They do exist. You love Marvel movies. Who's to say that it wasn't a superhuman?
I mean, why aren't we talking about maybe being some kind of alien? That seems more alien behavior than like ghost or...
Yeah, I guess I'm like expecting like that kind of behavior. I'm expecting like a cryptid or something like that, like a dog man or like a Bigfoot, but it was just a guy in a hoodie. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe the hoodie was to mask his identity. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't jump on this man's car while he's driving away in fear, but
maybe it's something that we and this person couldn't comprehend, so he just put an image on it.
We said person, hoodie.
Because when we see something that is outside of our realm of experience, sometimes we put something on it, or a face on it, or a body on it that we recognize a little bit better.
He made that up. He made that up right now.
I did not, but...
He has no idea what it was, but he just made that up.
I mean, I have no idea what it was, but I didn't make that up. It's notorious that we... I don't know how to say it, but bring something into existence from our mind to cover up for something we don't understand. I mean, you ask me what I think. What do you think? What's your most likely, what's your go-to on this one?
I mean, honestly, I have no idea. I don't. And if you, in these situations, if you take a stand and you're like, I believe it was this, you just get roasted alive by people like, I can't believe you idiots would believe that. But honestly, I mean, there's no explanation for me. Like this story, and even the old lady, like the old lady, I guess could have been a crazy ghost or something like that, or just a insane old lady in a graveyard, also possible with insane, speed. Maybe she really worked on her calisthenics. Who knows? But this story, no idea. If this guy's literally flooring it past multiple lights and he's still seeing this thing, I mean,
it's a harbinger of doom.
That is maybe the smartest thing you've ever said.
Thank you.
But with that, let's get into this. This is the final story.
I'll have something smart on this one too.
This one scared this one scared me. There's no punch in that. You feel that? This one was creepy.
All you have to do is cuss and then bleep it out.
Bleep it out. That's a lot of work, Christian.
I love bleeps, so they're
I know
so hilarious.
if the well-placed bleeps work wonderfully, but in time,
you get good at it. I'll channel Samuel Jackson one of these days.
Wow, that's what the people want. Actually, before we get into this final story, folks, I do want to remind you that tomorrow we will be dropping a bonus story from our listener, Christina, a bonus Sleep with the Lights On story on the YouTube channel. So be sure to come back tomorrow. Check that out. It's a good one. We enjoyed it a lot. Christina, shout out to you for sending that in. We really appreciate it. And if you have a story that you'd like to hear told on Sleep with the Lights On, please, please, please send it in to us at thegang@thefreakydeaky.com and see if you make it into one of these episodes. We love hearing the creepiest stories you got, please. Also, you can leave a 3-minute voicemail for us at 801-997-0051 and share your story that way. We can share it whichever way you like. If you want to stay anonymous, let us know in the email so we don't accidentally share your name. But outside of that, send them in, folks. We love them.
And we'll make sure you heard it.
I cut that part out, so now he just seems weird. Anyway, this final story for today is called The Basement Peach Demon. And it's by Pun Chi. Are you intrigued?
I am.
The Basement Peach Demon.
We're going to Georgia, aren't we?
No.
Damn it.
But it is terrifying. And it's short. Just like people's attention span these days.
I was going to say, just like Danny DeVito. Short and terrifying.
There you go. All right. As a kid, we played in the basement a lot. The floor was open and cement so we could roller skate around. Also, the walls were either dirt or brick, so we were allowed to shoot BB guns at targets. Basically, I wasn't scared of the basement at all as a kid. One day, my sister was in a side room that had jars of peaches and pickles. Dirt cellar type room, stayed cold even in the summer. She wouldn't let me in, and I was sure she was eating peaches.
Millions of peaches.
Just by the handful. Fistfuls of peaches. That sounds like a grunge band from the late 90s. I could see her feet under the crack of the door, and I stuck my fingers under, and she messed around with my fingers and giggled. I felt that her fingers were wet, and I said, "Don't eat all the peaches. I want some." Then she pushed down on my fingers so hard, and it hurt, and she was grunting and basically freaking out. I started screaming and tugging. Finally, I pulled my hands back, and she was quiet. She then kicked the door really hard. I ran upstairs to tell on her, and there she was with my mom in the kitchen. It was pretty freaking freaky. No one believed me. In fact, my mom just said my imagination had gotten away from me and to forget about it. But I never did. Ooh, man. You know what that reminds me of Signs a little bit with the just under the door with the knife thing.
Oh yeah.
There's something about seeing, like, not seeing the thing, but having an interaction like that is ultra terrifying to me. And I don't know what it is, but maybe it's the mystery of your mind not being able to have a picture for it, that you just create the most hideous monster you could possibly think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he created his sister. That's what he considered the most hideous monster.
You know, it's not a terrible theory. Shout out to my sister, but
my sister too. But she wasn't.
She wasn't eating peaches in the basement.
I mean,
and in this instance, she wasn't eating peaches in the basement either. What was that thing? I don't think the thing was in the basement eating peaches, but the fact that it was down there and almost like lured him to this door.
What if the boy was eating the peaches, but some of them fermented?
And he was like having like wild fever dreams and hallucinations about peach demons.
That's a good skeptical way of looking. Peach demons, I mean, they don't sound scary.
Peach demons. Yeah, well, they do sound scary because it's called a demon. And then you picture like a weird fruit with really evil tendencies.
Peaches, obviously.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I don't know, man. My old cat was named Peaches. Shout out Peaches. R.I.P. But
I was accosted on the streets of Las Vegas by somebody named Peaches. Me and my friends. We got out of that one. But it was scary. But
that sounds pretty scary. In this instance, though, they did get out of it. They were accosted by someone they thought had peaches and got out of it as well. The idea that you're like terrified, like, I'm going to go tell my sister she's being a real a-hole. You run upstairs, she's right next to your mom. You're like, how would you not just poop yourself immediately? Just be like, oh, yep. Oh, there it is. And they're like, why did you just poop yourself? And you're like, well, I was accosted by a peach demon in the basement and nobody seems to believe me.
It almost sounds like once he saw his sister, he didn't admit that there was a peach demon down there and he just went away and played it off. And
well, he said he told his mom.
And his mom didn't believe him?
Yeah, which is the classic parent thing to do, because I told my parents all the times I was freaked out. And guess what? They also didn't believe me. They didn't believe me until I was 27 years old or something. No, like 24 years old or something like that. And I made them watch the documentary, The Nightmare on Netflix, and be like, hey, this was my childhood for the record. And my mom apologized a lot. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. I'm a grown man with plenty of mental problems at this point, but who isn't? You know what I mean?
They knew it was true back then. But when you're a parent, most of us aren't rich enough just to move out of one scary house into another. So you have to tell your kid it's not real just to get them through the night.
Like, it's fine. Just make sure you don't bring it in here. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen the meme.
We have seen the meme. Yeah. So what was your favorite story of this episode of Sleep with the Lights On?
I actually got to be honest. It's the peaches.
That's a good story, right? It's just the right amount of terrifying. And it's very brief, but it was really well written. And I really enjoyed that a lot.
It sounds like a true story about dealing with your sister. Mm-hmm. No matter how great your sister was, they had their moments where they pulled crap.
Sure.
And obviously, this made him go tell on his sister. I'd tell on her too.
Yeah. Who wouldn't?
Yeah. If she stomped on my fingers and then kicked the door.
Yeah. With her wet peach hands.
Yeah. And
why were the fingers wet? That's the question.
We know why they're wet. Demons.
They don't, or they constantly wash their hands, or they don't wash their hands and it's grimy and sticky.
Well, they're just not, they don't have the same form as us because they're demons. So they got
like
melty kind of.
They got goo, right? Yeah. You don't picture dry demons. They're kind of moist.
And not in a good way.
No.
Like cookies? Cake? What's wrong with your mind, man?
Yeah, cookies and cake. Those are words for it.
I don't know what you're thinking.
Anyway, we'll save all that fun stuff for TFT After Dark. This does conclude Volume 2 of Sleep with the Lights On. Again, if you haven't heard the first one, be sure to go and follow the podcast wherever you listen to your favorite paranormal podcasts. I promise it's a hoot. You'll enjoy it. Find us wherever podcasts are found. Listen to that episode. Binge through the rest of the episodes. And be sure to like and subscribe to this channel where we will be posting plenty more of these types of stories. And again, make sure to tune in tomorrow for that bonus story from listener Christina. And as always, we'll see you next time. And be sure to sleep with the lights on.
Especially when it's moist. Be scared